Let's put the Drudge Report up. Obviously, a conservative website that talks about Donald Trump calling for Cheney's execution, talking about 9 rifles aimed at her face and shooting at her face. Let's listen to Donald Trump's own words.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
So let's put 9 barrels of guns shooting at Liz Cheney's face. Stephanie Ruhle, this is Donald Trump in the closing weekend of the 2024 campaign that a lot of people that you know and I know are saying, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Donald Trump, he won't do what he says he will do, when in fact, that's exactly what Donald Trump does. He tried to arrest Hillary Clinton twice, once in 2017 when his Attorney General Jeff Sessions said, no, there's nothing there. And again in 2018 when Attorney General Barr said, no, there's nothing there. In 2020, 2 weeks before the election, he tried to arrest Joe Biden and Joe Biden's family. And Barr, once again, said, no, those barriers are gone if Donald Trump is elected again. And here we see, just weeks after him talking about putting the military and the National Guard after Democrats, now he's talking about a firing squad for a Republican who is long ranked as one of the most conservative Republicans in Washington, D.C. Where are we on the final weekend before this historic election?
Where are we, Joe? Well, potentially classic Republicans are banding together saying we have to be done with him for good and figuring out their next step, because you know this is completely self-inflicted. It was less than 6 months ago. All sorts of people that you talk to, that I talk to, were so excited about the idea of Nikki Haley. Just before the RNC, they thought Donald Trump has got this. He's going to pivot to the middle. Even after Nikki Haley endorsed him, he's basically thrown her aside. And day after day, look at this last week. All those people we know keep saying, look at the betting markets. He's killing it. Look at DJT. That thing is through the roof, right? He's had an opportunity to shut it down, even put on a show that he's moving to the center and please all those people that you talk to that are saying, oh, it's basically the same on either side. But no, he has spent the last 2 weeks, especially the last week, going further and further, more extreme to the right. For what? To reveal himself, to make it more and more difficult for rational people. I mean, think about what Mika was just talking about when it comes to all of these women, right? I myself have had a miscarriage. When I did, never did I possibly think that a DNC would be considered abortion care. Right? You've got women who are devout Catholics suddenly saying, I'm sorry, what are you considering this? Just rational, apolitical women saying, I think I need to go out there and vote to protect myself and my daughter. And you know the other group of people that are doing that? Their brothers, their husbands, their fathers.
Yeah, you know, I want to say this just for people that are looking at the so-called betting markets. And I want you to explain this because the Wall Street Journal broke it down yesterday, not the editorial page, but the Wall Street Journal itself broke it down, that actually if you look at the stock market and the S&P is betting on a Harris win for historic reasons, whereas these crypto markets that only foreigners can invest in.
Correct.
Here is the anti-foreigner party, the America for Only Americans party, going, look at what the foreigners are saying. Look what the crypto foreigners are saying. They're saying Donald Trump's going to win, and you just have to laugh. But it's Politico. The stock market surprising bet on who's going to win the presidency shows that when you have a party in power when the S&P is exploding, that means the market is betting on things remaining the same, on no disruptions.
Joe, the Wall Street Journal put it yesterday, whomever is the next president is going to walk into the Oval Office and preside over a very strong economy. But talking about the betting market, the biggest one out there is this one called Polymarket. And I want everyone at this table to listen in case they haven't heard. Do you know who the majority owner of Polymarket is? Peter Thiel. Yep. The man who brought you J.D. Vance. Do you know how you manipulate Polymarket? Literally, it takes about the price of a used car, okay, to push that market and make it look like Donald Trump's winning. So all those people who are saying don't trust the polls, if you're worried about the polls having little representation of what's actually happening, do me a favor and go to the betting markets. You said it, and I want to make sure our audience understands. United States investors, you cannot even play in Polymarket if you're a U.S. investor. These are foreigners who we do not even know. And we know from the last two elections and currently, you have got foreign adversaries trying to interfere in the election. And what a beautiful, easy way for them to do it. So please,
there you go.
Do not be fooled by this nonsense and this noise.
Excellent. We're going to get to the job numbers with you in just a moment. We also have with us member of the New York Times editorial board, Mara Gay, the host of the podcast On Brand with Donny Deutsch. Donny Deutsch and Jonathan Lemire is at the table, of course. Mara, go.
You know, I spent the past week in Georgia, where not only Democrats, but Republicans, like the former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, independents, people who are once considered themselves apolitical women, are working their hearts out right now. And the reason is because in 2020, Joe Biden won there by just 11,000 votes. And I just want Americans to remember that right now, because these betting markets, even just the polls, so much of this is something that Donald Trump and his allies are using to suggest that the American people are helpless, that their victory is inevitable, and that the views that they believe in are something that the majority of Americans want. And that is all designed to keep people home, to say it doesn't matter, your vote doesn't matter. Your vote matters. Your vote matters. So not only your vote is private, and not only is this a time to go vote, but especially if you are, even if you don't live in a swing state, you know, there are still doors to be knocked. There are still calls to be made. And that's not about the Democratic Party. That's about your own health care. That's about thinking this could be me in a delivery room, in an operating room, unable to get health care. It could be your neighbor. It could be your daughter. And I think that's in the best interest.
It could be a woman of any age.
It could be a woman of any age.
You don't have to be in a reproductive situation to have one of these emergencies. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, and let's clear something else up right now. And it's important. I was always fascinated and somewhat maddened to even hear on MSNBC daytime news people going, well, of course the Trump economy is the best economy ever, when he was in office, because he would just say it every day. He would just say it every day. And so pretty much the media goes, okay, so maybe the economy. No. The truth is, he ranked below Jimmy Carter in GDP growth. He was number 7 in post-war presidents. But the lie just kept spinning out, and soon people got numb, and they started repeating the lie instead of telling the truth, that Jimmy Carter had a better GDP, had better economy, had better growth than Donald Trump. They've been doing this now on this election for so long that data doesn't matter. Like, Polymarket is just a betting version of Epic Times, a website that's controlled by a Chinese religious cult, and people are suckered into believing it. When the data is showing a couple of things right now, Jonathan Lemire, I continue to say it is a tie going into the weekend. But the Harris campaign feeling good for a couple of reasons. You look in Pennsylvania, It's a tie. It's close. But what's happening? Oh, I'm shocked. Women are going out in huge numbers. And so you've got the Trump bros freaking out on X, going, dude, you got to get out and vote, or you're going to have to listen to Kamala cackle for the next 4 years. Like, they're freaking out. That's number one. Number two, I think it was Politico that had a story about this silver revolution of sorts, that seniors in the blue states are going out and voting, and they're Democratic seniors. Trump is lagging behind in early voting with seniors in Pennsylvania, and let's add in Wisconsin and in Michigan. This is data. What does it suggest? That Harris is going to win? No. But it doesn't suggest Trump's going to win. In fact, they're very cautious at the Harris campaign because they went through 2016. But what I know, you've talked to them, I've talked to them, and what you hear from them is this. And they've been saying it for about 7 days now. It's going to be a really close race, but would rather be us than him right now.